Oh, good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Welcome to the OPSA Tech Talk on fat disposal and nature-based solutions and the plumber's role. And this is a follow-on from the previous talk on bioaugmentation or microbes and the plumber's role. So there is a bit of repeat, but we need to do the education there. Okay. So while we're doing this education, this is also part of teaching the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, because clean water and sanitation, as you'll see in the next slides, interlinks to them all. So I'm sure you've seen these 17 2030 goals, but when you take a look at how important clean water and sanitation is, it interacts with all of these goals. So this is a crucial part of the Sustainable Development Goals. And this is a picture here of, one person can make a difference. This is the Afro Shah. I don't know if you've seen him on the news, but he started cleaning up trash in Mumbai on the beach. And years later, you've got the turtles returning. So one person can make a difference. And so, yeah, let's start with the ones. I'd like to introduce Robert Schoeman. I'm sure you guys know him already, and he was on the previous Tech Talk, and also part of the Champions for Charity Fight Night, and where he nominated Blue and Green Drop Project to obviously help raise awareness for that side of things as well. Robert and I met. Robert is an IOPSA compliance auditor as well, and Robert and I connected through Brendan in OPSA in 2019, and we've been working to educate and shift plumbers' behavior around naturally unblocking long-term waste buildup in plumbing pipes. My name is Odgers from Kleenhealth, and I'm also the chairman of the HENOPS Catchment Management Forum, and we've got a range of microbes that can assist in solving these sorts of problems. Treating at the source. This is our opportunity to solve clients' ongoing blockage problems while reducing the need for toxic, harmful, or potentially dangerous drain unblocking treatments. I'm just going to stop my video here just so that we can save some bandwidth for people here, and then we'll just go on the slide. So opportunity to solve clients' ongoing blockage problems while reducing the need for toxic, harmful, or potentially dangerous drain unblocking treatments, while helping naturally clean up our rivers from sewage, while increasing plumbers' revenue. It really is a win-win. So we are all connected by water, rivers in the ocean, and our interconnected waterborne sewage lines flow and feed this connected river network. And if you have a look here, these rivers on this side here, this is city of Johannesburg, Pretoria, in around this area, and we're all connected, flowing out in Mozambique and Shai, and then also flowing out to the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. So what we're suggesting is to reconsider toxic or potentially harmful drain cleaners and to consider environmentally beneficial solutions. No discharging of polluted fat trap wastewater into our landfills and rivers. This continuous discharging of untreated fat trap waste into landfills, or worse, our rivers, has contributed to the decline in fish and plant life, along with the wastewater treatment works pollution. Excess phosphates and nitrates feed the aquatic weeds and the algae in the dams. So from legislation point of view, no landfill of liquids since 2019. So landfill prohibitions became effective in 23rd of August 2019, and the Department of Environmental Affairs, LB Modise, confirmed this regulation, and the local legislation bans all liquids waste from landfill. This signaled a positive shift in South Africa waste legislation, and this legislation prohibiting liquid waste disposal was gazetted in August 2013, with a 6-year transition period for the industry to action the necessary measures in place. So the rule is, if you can pick it up in a spade, well then it's not liquid. A key benefit of this legislation, according to Modise, is that the country's groundwater reserves will receive protection from seeping hazardous liquids. Landfills are known to produce leachate, if I've spelled that correctly, liquid bearing soluble and suspended solids after it passes through matter. And this is difficult to manage and treat. And this leachate has the potential to seep into groundwater pools. And Robert will carry on from this side here.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, so from a plumber's point, and also as homeowners, you've got to look at, if you see anyone dumping fats or light liquids into, dumping it into dustbins and into the drains and that, you have to report it. It's also a responsibility as plumbers as well. If you're going to a restaurant or to a shopping mall, there has to be a grease fat trap in the malls and in the restaurants to prevent that oils and all of that ending up in our waistelines. So there's details there of the environmental affairs. If you see anyone dumping it in dustbins and down the drains, pouring the fats down the drains, you can report it. Carl will just put their details in the chat for you if you want to take it down. So Carl, if you can drop that in the chat there for us. Yeah, you need to see what hazard group is classified as liquid waste not permitted to landfills, but compost sites that accepts processed fat. So fats, when people are cleaning out the grease traps, can't just take it out of the grease trap and then the fat trap and then throw it down the drain or dump it in the dustbin, which you can't do that. And grease traps should be regularly maintained. So there are companies that come out and they treat the grease traps and they take it to a proper fat waste treatment plant. And also got to look at the usage and volume of fat and oils and greases. Yeah, now how can we encourage our clients to be aware of them with a compost perspective? I mean, we got to look at that we don't use harmful disinfectants, because you don't know if the client has a septic tank or so when you're pouring the drain cleaners and acids down, that it doesn't affect the septic tank. And we've got to change our minds to use more organic disinfectants, which allows for bacteria to improve and assisting the bacteria to decompose the fats and feces in the waste. And then we've got to look at also not using no inorganic waste, so that's plastic, hair nets, and small pieces of plastic, which also continues to block our wastewater systems. And then you've got to look at the fat wastewater is added to the dry compost that can handle the waste.
So fat trap bioremediation or microbes and the plumber's role, it's a tool. It's a tool for the trusty toolbox. Microbes, just like your monkey wrench is a very useful tool. And if you're on site and you've got everything else but the monkey wrench, but you need it, you're a bit stuck. And so we believe this is a vital tool that can naturally help liquefy fats, oils, and greases without the use of potentially toxic, acidic, harmful, or carcinogenic chemicals related to unblocking long-term buildup in pipes. And it's safe for fish and for plants and for humans and animals. There are big health advantages of treating fat traps and drains using microbes. That bioaugmentation process, it converts the anaerobic sludge environment into an aerobic, killing off the waterborne diseases. So it turns the solids into gas and to oxygen. And so included in these blends are bacteria that compete with cholera bacterium for food source, thus preventing cholera from spreading. This is Steve. I'm sure you all know Steve. And so Steve was exploring bulk organic fat trap waste remediation. This is at one of the sites, and this is thousands of liters of fat trap waste dumped from one of the prestigious plumbing groups, and remediating this with these microbes. This, as you can see here, was the bottom dam, and it was in a sad state, and they really were trying to make it as best as it could be, adding the vetiver grass in, and it just kept on dying. And so we built the dam up at the top that you saw with Steve, and within 8 weeks, this bottom dam here was just a complete transformation of the body of water. The vetiver grasses regrown, And we've subsequently found 15 different species of birds, from hammerkop, from crane eating frogs out of this dam, 7 little ducklings swimming on here. So we really can turn a tragedy into something that's environmentally beneficial. Are enzymes the same as microbes or bioremediation? And the answer is no. Enzymes differ from bacteria, and enzymes are chemical in nature and not living organisms. Enzymes are present in natural forms that are necessary for life, and all living things, including humans, contain enzymes that aid in digestion of food and breakdown of toxins. We all know when you eat a hamburger, you might be smelling the hamburger, tasting the hamburger, chewing the hamburger, but your saliva is the thing that's breaking down the carbohydrates, and when it gets to your stomach, the bile is helping to break down the protein. So enzymes are very useful. But microbes are the things that happen before the enzymes. So microbes are different to enzymes. Microbes or bacteria we utilize are naturally occurring bacteria found in waste that create enzymes to degrade the waste and aid in the remediation of the waterways. So microbes are actually the factories that produce these enzymes. And so when we look at this model as a connected network, it's a tool for a top-down model, ideal for plumbers. It's like a probiotic for your drain. So just like when you go to the GP, when he gives you a prescription, he or she gives you a prescription of antibiotics, they will now always give you a prescription of probiotics, and that's to restore the balance in your gut. So this is a tool in the form of a liquid, powder, or slow release blocks of natural microbes that break down these fats and the oils and the greases and the feces. And what remains is cleaner water with reduced waterborne diseases. So Robert?
Sorry guys, so with the enzymes and the fats, you can actually pour it into the manholes, and it actually starts to break down the fats. So it breaks down the fats of long build-up, especially in complexes. We know that there's multiple people staying, they're washing their dishes and all this stuff. And there's always people that they'll say they don't pour the fats down, but they're cleaning the pots. There's still all of that. It ends up in our drainage system, and that clogs up a line. And that you need something that can break the fats down the line, especially even with the fat traps. You can pour the enzymes directly into the fat traps so that it can break down the fats in the system.
And if I could just add in there, these different microbes have been added and been used in large-scale wastewater treatment works in South Africa for over 2 decades. So there's a lot of history with this. Robert?
Yeah, so we need to reconsider on chemicals that we use. So we got to look at stuff that doesn't harm the environment. And if you look at it, will you pour a bottle of drain acid into a fish pond or into your koi pond? No, you won't. See, so that exact same stuff ends up in our rivers. So we got to look at stuff that we can benefit the environment by using natural-based stuff to break down the fats in the fat traps as well. But yeah, so also what's there, if you there's just a basic example of a fat trap. The water from the kitchen sinks will discharge into the fat trap, and then from there, it separates the fats from the water, and then it will go into the drainage system. You can move to the next one, Tom. And these things have to be maintained regularly, because otherwise it is going to start blocking the system. There's just also a little bit a side view of a grease trap or a separator. You separate the fats from the water. As you guys can see, you've got the inlet. It'll go into the bucket and the basket where it separates the fat, and then the water will go through. As you all know, oil and fat is lighter than water, so it will rise to the top, and the water will come through and discharge out the outlet there. And as this was from a little canteen. This fat trap, that fat would actually been solidified. So every time they use the water will just pour out the sides and run down the street. because this was a fat trap that wasn't maintained. So we need to look at breaking down the fats as well with something that can break down and eat the microbes. You know, with a natural bacteria that break down the fats. You know, what remains is cleaner water, which reduces waterborne diseases. Now, this process removes smells and flies in 24 hours, and as it liquefies.
And here's a case study. I'm sure we all know this stadium, Ellis Park Rugby Stadium. It had an independent restaurant which was just selling crisps and Coke drinks and things like that, and then later became one of the biggest oil fryers with no fat trap installed. And so the knock-on effect is pretty quick. You know, the challenge they also had was that restaurant was also pouring used cooking oil down the drain. So this was the manhole in 2018 before we treated, and you've got a thick fat crust. You can barely see the channel, and there was no flow confirmed. And Stephen, who was the head plumber, he alluded to me that this thing had actually been blocked for many, many years, and they tried the rods and they tried the acids and they tried everything that they had in their disposal. And for 5 years, they hadn't managed to get it right. And so we added the drain treatment to clean the water and allowed the gravity to force the bacterial movement down the line. That blue light you see there is just a UV torch. So this is before the third dosing here. You can see it's much more liquid. The fat crust has broken down and the wastewater is very liquid. The fist-sized chunks of fat rising to the top. So as Robert said, fat is lighter than water. So when you start to clear these lines of this long-term buildup, you have to do another dose afterwards because you get these chunks floating back up and you need to break those chunks down. And so by the fourth treatment here, we're continuing break down the solid fat mass in the pipes and to penetrate the plumbing pipe. And this wastewater now is very liquid with very small chunks of fat up the plumbing line. And the image on the top left here, it was just, that was the manhole downhill or downstream from that blocked manhole. And it was just solid fat. You know, there was no flow. We added water up. You know, this is after 2 doses. We hadn't managed to get it to budge. And then on the third dose, we've got movement there. I was going to add a little video there. It's not very exciting, but you can just see the water flowing there. And the manhole was unblocked for the first time in 5 years, which was quite an amazing feat. Robert?
This is just little images of how the fat builds up inside the lines of a drainage system where your camera went down. As you can see, the fats build up, and also a lot of the drain acid that's been poured down the line to try and break down the fats. But it just eventually solidifies. You can see the fats crusting up there. And as you all know, this will eventually start solidifying and becoming bigger and bigger, closing the holes there. No, same story. Back on.
So this, you know, I'm sure you guys know that in your pipe, you're going to install a new pipe. You know, as you start getting water flowing down it, you get bacteria forms inside this pipe. And then a protective layer of slime builds up over that bacteria. And then the slime prevents oxygen from getting to that bacteria. And then that environment becomes anaerobic. And so at the same time, the oxygen in the sewer line is also depleted. So, and then this is when you start to get all those noxious gases and things like that. So the entire sewer networks becomes anaerobic, and that's where you get your odors. And so we degrade that slime layer with these different molecules, and you prevent the slime layer from reduced. The protective slime layer is reduced, exposing anaerobic bacteria to oxygen, and then the microbubbles add oxygen to the sewer water, creating an aerobic environment, and this helps with that remediation. So this is an ongoing problem. You know, fat traps and grease traps and drains are blocking, and manholes are blocking, and then regularly bursting and flowing into stormwater drains, which then flow into our rivers. And if we understand what's going on in our local economy, to give you an idea, in Midrand alone, according to a Joburg water official, there are 500 burst manholes a month, which is just staggering. And Ekurhuleni says there are about 80 burst manholes a month, and their local area engineers say that their buckies are out all the time unblocking. So they're not too sure if that number is accurate. So, you've got really efficient and clever tools to, like the jet truck blowing out the plumbing lines. It's very effective at clearing that immediate blockage. But unless you add these microbes into the jet truck, as we explained in the previous slideshow, you're not getting rid of that physical mass. You're literally stripping the pipe and clearing it, but it's moving down the hill. So with a nature-based solution, you treat your fat traps and your grease traps and your drains with these microbes or probiotics, and you naturally break down the solids into liquids. And this helps clean up the long-term buildup and clears the foul odors without the use of toxic products. And your butcheries and bakeries, they can continue operating while dosing. Nobody needs to clear the room or leave the room if there's any noxious, harmful drain cleaner smells. So this top-down approach can help to collectively reduce the burst manholes while solving your client's needs. How can microbes help increase revenue stream for the plumbers? So you solve long-term repeat problems and switch to a monthly or a biannual treatment to ensure free-flowing drains, depending on the site and how frequently it would need to be dosed. And you can actually go contact your old clients that you maybe haven't heard from for a while, or your current clients, to introduce this environmentally beneficial model and to help improve their waste footprint. What we're finding now in the industry, because I've been doing this for about 10 or 12 years now, is that the shareholders of the businesses are now mandating that change needs to happen. And so we can now actually attract new clients seeking alternative natural solutions to waste and fat treatment. And you can improve the efficiency of unblocking tools by simply pouring down these microbes down the drain or adding it to the jet truck. And you can offer clients the fat trap treatment solutions after the fat trap installations to ensure ongoing compliance and plumbing maintenance revenue. So just become part of the solution. When you use these different solutions here, they really are helping the collective ecosystem. So when you enjoy your fishing and enjoy your going to the ocean and the sea and the rivers and all the different things that we enjoy with water, this is a real solution to help be part of the bigger solution.
I think from our side, I think guys, you also realize we at the front end of all of this. It starts with us to help the wastewater treatment plants, and if we can start just shifting our mindset with more natural based products in our drainage systems, we will be able to assist our water treatments and our Department of Water by reducing the harmful chemicals in our water.